We like to think that the bitter category is like the new gin. It's really few the occasions where you have a gin and tonic that you are just asking for a gin and tonic. If you are in a nice bar, you are asking, which gin do you have? Because you want to try something different.
So picture this, 3 Italian friends in Stockholm, they start organizing events to bring the Italian aperitivo mood to the north of Europe, and at some point they realize everyone is drinking the same stuff. And so they ask themselves, what if there was a premium alternative for traditional aperitifs? This is how VETZ was born, and from a project between friends in the north of Europe, it now scaled to being distributed in 11 countries, including the most difficult of them all, Italy, where they actually gain traction in cities like Milan. Today we sit down with one of VETZ's co-founder, Nicolas Dellai, to discover all the details on how they built the brand from scratch and scaled it to where it is now.
Bartenders are the main ambassador of your product. You want to go to a venue and you want to have like a bartender that loves your product and can be an advocate for it. The market is big, so the more players actually is more marketing for everyone. So if we are able to build this new category of people leaving the big traditional spritz and moving towards alternatives, there's space for many. So really happy about the so-called competition.
So this was a fantastic conversation. We got into the real tiny details on how Nicolas and his co-founders created VETZ, how they chose the bottle, how they designed the brand, but also on how they use social media to launch it, and especially how now they're approaching distribution in different countries. So this was a true masterclass on brand building and marketing, and I think it will be useful for everyone that's launching a new brand or try to scale an established one. But before we start, listeners, if you like the show, if you think it's interesting, if you think we're bringing great guests, consider subscribing on your favorite platform and leaving us a comment and a review on Spotify. This is the best way in which you can help in growing the show and bringing even more amazing guests in the future. So now sit back and enjoy the show. Hey Nicolas, welcome to Dolia Talks.
Ciao Joe, nice to be here, and hi everyone.
So I'm super curious about the origin story of VETZ because I know you started from Stockholm. So I'm very curious about the insight that made you actually realize there was actually potential in the market for a new aperitif, because from Sweden you develop a product that actually is more closer to the Mediterranean and to Italy maybe. So what happened and why did you decide to launch this product?
Well, it's a funny story. It's like a long story. I try to be like concise on that. At the moment of the launch of VETZ, we need to go back in 2018, where with my two co-founders, Alberto and Federico, as Italians in Stockholm, we were missing the aperitivo, and we always wanted to do something together, and we were like, okay, let's just for fun try to bring the aperitivo to Stockholm. So we started to organize events. So before the launch of VETZ, there's a story called Aperitivo Stockholm. There was basically an event platform where we were organizing aperitivo in Stockholm, because actually during the week in Sweden, people are not going out, they are not so social, they wait for the weekend to go out. But there were a lot of expats, a lot of Italians that are actually missing the aperitivo occasion. So we started by organizing events and we created this platform that was basically an offline platform to help Italian companies to export to Sweden. So it was a really easy setup. We were partnering with different venues in the city. You could go there, socialize, have a spritz or two, have some nice Italian food and some good music, and then socialize. Actually, fun stories. I think quite many people met during these events and also got married, or like they became lifetime friends. So it was a nice social occasion. And it lasted for like a few years. We were doing many events from Stockholm to Gothenburg. Then we expanded in Copenhagen, in Denmark. But we wanted to do something more scalable. And as every time you do in the startup environment, you lock yourself in an apartment for a whole weekend, you brainstorm, you try to catch up with ideas. And we were like, realizing that we were selling, of course, like a lot of spritz all the time, done with Aperol and Campari. And when you are like living in Italy, you don't think too much about that, because I come from Veneto, so we say it's the land of spritzes, and you just take it for granted. It's like this, okay. Maybe inspired by the Scandinavian attention to natural products and to alternatives. We were like, okay, actually it's missing like a better alternative, something that doesn't have like sketchy ingredients like colorants, chemicals, or whatsoever, preservatives. And that's why we decided, like, okay, maybe we can create an alternative that has maybe maybe a better product for doing aperitif and placing it like in a more premium kind of segment. So that's why, yeah, we decided also a little bit influenced by the arrival of COVID, where events shut it down and everything, to produce VETZ, that is, as we said before, like a premium alternative made with natural ingredients to the classic aperitifs. And yeah, we started in Stockholm and of course with the Scandinavian market initially. And then so we realized that of course Italy was the main market, and we started to expand to Italy, and today to approximately 10 countries around the world. So that was like the hint and the initial moment where we decided to create VETZ.
Before going, I'm super curious about also the launch of the market, but before going on to that, I would love also to understand how you came to the final recipe, because there's always some really fun stories on when I speak to brands like yours, and about the recipe development, how the product came to life. So can you walk me through how the process looked like in choosing the ingredients, in choosing the recipe, the flavors, etc.?
Of course, brutally honest, none of us is an expert of the industry. I come from the architecture industry. My other two co-founders, one comes from the innovation in the food and beverage industry, more policy related, and the other co-founder Alberto comes from the venture capital world. So we love to stay together. We love like to have nice drinks. And it started, with a lot of trial and errors, trying, to understand the different flavors and understand what could have been like a better balance of the taste. Of course, we had an idea in mind at the beginning that was coming to, a botanical mix that could have fit in between, let's say, as point of reference, Campari and Aperol, because we wanted to get into a sweet spot in between that in terms of bitterness and sweetness. And at the same time, we wanted to give more the herbal and floral notes that you can find in an Italian Amaro. Because the idea of the product, it was also to have a flexible product. So VETZ, it can be also drank in, in many different cocktails, not just as a spritz or like mixed with tonic, that are our two main hero drinks, but you can sip it by its own. So by having that good combination of botanicals and alcohol ABV percentage, you can actually, sip it as a lighter digestive after a dinner during the week, maybe when you just want to have a little digestive after dinner. So it came on like, with a lot of trial and errors in the recipe. We were spending evenings in trying different combinations. And at the end of the day, we got to a taste and we were like, okay, we are happy in all the different nuances of the mixing. So with the tonic or with the, with a bubble like a Prosecco for like a spritz. So it became coming from trial and error on the taste. So there was the development on the taste. And also in terms of if I can just add on top of it, because I think it's also a nice and interesting story in terms of the design of the bottle. Because of course, and also maybe the name, I don't know if it's a topic you want to talk about, but
sure.
In terms of the aesthetic, as you know, the word aperitivo comes from aperire, that means to open up. And actually the first aperitif in the history was created by Hippocrates, that was a doctor. And basically it was used as a medicine to open up the stomach to the patients. So that's why it comes the word aperitif. So in terms of the design of the bottle, we were trying to get to a design that was an anthem in celebration for the history of the aperitif. That's why we decided to go with, it's called Antica Farmacia, so an old pharmaceutical kind of bottle, by maintaining a minimalistic design, more to remind the labels that were used in the past, but also as a little bit of an honor to the Scandinavian design that is where the product was created. And then VETZ, of course, as you know, is a funny way to call your friends that comes mainly from Bologna and the Emilia-Romagna region. Fun fact, I was studying architecture in Ferrara, and you call everyone VETZ, how's it going, all this kind of stuff. And when I moved to Sweden, I was basically calling everyone VETZ, and not all the people from Italy were, aware of what VETZ was. So I was like, but what is VETZ? Blah, blah, blah. Suddenly it became my nickname at the end of the day, before the product was created. And when we were thinking about a name, we were like, okay, wait, you try to brainstorm 20 million names. But we were like, actually, VETZ reminds spritz. When you do aperitivo, you are gathering with your friends, and it's a moment of socializing. So we decided to call it VETZ because it was basically a product created by friends for friends. And that's why also we decided to call the product like that.
I love it. I think it just works. It's perfect.
It's also easy to remember, right? When you are
Yeah.
approaching different markets, the little thing that we changed, of course, it was like to put the T in front of the Z, just to remember more like the word spritz.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, because like in the Spanish market or in the South American market, it would have been read like this, so it would have been read differently. But yeah, I don't know. Everyone says like, ah, okay, it sounds fun. Like I remember easily, so that's the nice that works at the end of the day. So far, it has been working.
And just one last question about the product. Why did you decide initially to make it alcoholic compared to non-alcoholic? Was it like a choice? Did you consider doing it non-alcoholic?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like in the first hand, we didn't consider it because like we were like, okay, we want to just position it as an alternative to the most traditional drinks for like spritzes. Back when we created VETZ, so we're talking about maybe 5 years ago, still we could see in the alcohol-free trend starting and growing. Now, of course, it's like all over and it's more popular than ever. And that's why also during the journey we've been working for finding an alternative or a non-alcoholic VETZ. But yeah, in the moment of the starting of the company, we rather decided to focus on one single SKU rather than thinking about more SKU. We were like, okay, this is our product. Let's make it growing. And then when it gets some traction, we can invest in other SKUs.
So you mentioned before you then realized Italy was your largest market. I was thinking, I mean, this is can be a bit counterintuitive, no? Because Italy is I mean, on one side it makes sense because Italy is where the Aperitivo, the ritual was born. On the other side, you have Aperols, you have Campari, you have
Yeah.
Prosecco. So how did you actually manage to position in a market that's that crowded? And how are you, yeah, what's your competitive positioning and how you're managing to differentiate yourself?
Yeah, well, starting from Scandinavia, of course, like that you can imagine, is a completely different market from Italy, from different, for all the different parameters, from like the way you distribute the product, the way people are perceiving the products, sometimes also the economical power that people have, like in purchasing like a product instead of another one. Soon enough, we understood that, of course, in Sweden, the product was getting traction. But at the same time, the occasions when people were like sipping the product were way fewer. Again, in Sweden, usually people drink during the weekend. And when we're talking about spritzes, is a summer-related kind of product. So if you go to Stockholm in the summer, you just see orange glasses all over because it's like summer. I want to have a spritz and I want to have an Aperol and enjoy. But like in Italy, it's more on occasion that you do almost daily throughout the whole year. The market by numbers is way bigger. It's within at the beginning, of course, if you consider Scandinavia, maybe we are around 50 million, 70 million people, while in Italy it's like almost 60 million people. So the dimension of the market is way bigger. But what we saw is more like we needed customers and consumers that knew what an aperitivo was. It's the way I like to explain to people what an aperitivo actually is. So Aperol, like the spritz in Scandinavia, is considered as a cocktail, is not considered as an aperitivo. That is way different in the way you perceive the product. So for us, Italy by default became the natural market to move, also because luckily enough, we had other 3 people joining the company during the year. So we had Massimiliano, Oliver, and Beppe. And having an Italian team, even though we are like a 2.0 company, it says we are all in different countries around the world, we most likely communicate just digitally. But the core of the operations and the core of the activities are all in Italy because the market is most ready. And in terms of positioning, of course, people are used to having traditional products for the spritz, but there's a growing trend on like finding alternatives. And we like to think that the bitter category is like the new gin, in the sense that we've been seeing back in the years how the whole market was monopolized by just a fewer brands. Now I think it's like really few the occasions where you have a gin and tonic that you are just asking for a gin and tonic. If you are in a nice bar, you are not asking, which gin do you have? Because you want to try something different, maybe done with different, like, taste notes or like different qualities and stuff. So that was like our idea. It's like, okay, we are able to offer an alternative more in a premium sense towards the classic alternatives. But there's space because it's like main players are really few. We can count them in a hand. And there are a lot of people that want to try something different. And also because people are, I would say, getting bored about the classic spritz drinks. So we've been lucky enough to find venues and places that believe in, like, offering alternatives. And they believed in us as a company and as a product in this case. So yeah, that was the main differentiator. Like there's a feeling that people want something different. And yeah, that's why we are here trying to give an alternative.
Is it also true in terms of the occasion for certain types of wine? If I think of the north of Italy, of course, Prosecco is the one that comes to mind. But even, I mean, I live in Luxembourg, as I mentioned, and it's more common to see people at 6 p.m. drinking a glass of wine rather than a spritz. So I was wondering, do you see also people switching from wine to drinks like VETZ, or is maybe still a different market, a different occasion?
Like I would say is like, of course it's a different occasion because like, I think also in general was the main difference is like how the market in general is moving, no? It's going from, maybe more people are switching to like have just a glass of bubbles because they're like, okay, it's like less alcoholic, even though sometimes it's not true. And when you have like bitters that don't have a high ABV, or many people switching to alcohol-free alternatives. Like, of course, if we're talking about wine connoisseurs, they do feel that, mixing a bubble with a bitter can be somehow make the drink kind of dirty in the sense that they don't want to have a spritz. They prefer to have, a Franciacorta champagne or whatsoever. I think it's like, we are in the same kind of market. People also depends on the moment they want to switch maybe from one to another one. I'm also the person that, doesn't drink spritzes all the time. Like I do enjoy like a refreshing bubble during summer as an example. So I would say that they are like somehow they are crossing each other's, like they are different, but still there are many moments where they're like merging together. So we're trying to get people from the wine occasion because like we're offering a product that is not as sweet and you don't perceive it as take, but still it depends a lot on like people preferences.
Do you see some differences between maybe different areas in Italy and also different countries in terms of how VETZ is consumed, in terms of occasions, in terms of how people switch between other drinks and VETZ? Maybe in the north, I think there's Aperol is a bit more popular, but also people are much more maybe open to try new things, probably.
Yeah, let's say that by default that, in Italy as an example, our core market is Milan as a city. Of course, because it's the city that has the biggest international crowd, and that also those people can be ambassadors to other countries. Fun fact, like just yesterday, we got an email from an American girl. She was like, I tried VETZ, I love it. Where can I buy it in the US? No, lucky enough, we've been able to open the US market recently. So, now she can buy it in the US as well. The international hubs are the places where we've been, work mostly with the product. The product is like sold throughout the whole country. So you can find VETZ from Sardinia, Sicily, Puglia to, Trentino and Lombardia, Milano, whatsoever. But we've been focusing in the main international hubs also because like we've been partnering a lot with bars that are in the 50 best or like, that are positioning like in the more high-end kind of tier. And Milan, of course, is one of the capital for this kind of category. And yeah, it's like in the spritz here has been working pretty well, like in Veneto, because it's like a region, of course, where people drink a lot of spritz. But like we've been seeing working pretty well the VETZ and tonic in the southern Italy, because it's more like, refreshing, is lower ABV, because like, of course, you consider that you put the tonic and the product gets to around 3-4 degrees. Also, we did like some pilot project where we did like some ready to drink VETZ and tonic cans that like work really well and people really liked it. So I would say when we are tending to get in places where like, the average weather and temperature is either higher, like people tend to prefer the VETZ and tonic because it's fresher. In northern Italy, we've been working a lot for VETZ spritz. But again, it is a pretty flexible product. So I don't know, one of our, the product, the cocktails became one of the most famous is Ultra VETZ. So it's like a take on the Paloma. And it started from like, a drink list that we started in a collaboration with a cocktail bar. And then became like popular. And now it's like one of our bestseller in terms of drinks. So yeah, I would say this is like the main differentiation between maybe north and south of Italy, or like main city hubs and smaller towns.
When you talk with bars and restaurants, do you already suggest which kind of cocktails they can create, or do you just give them the product and they're free to do whatever they want?
That's a good question. Like, it depends a lot on which kind of relation we create with the venues. Like, for instance, when we're working with smaller venues, they are the first one maybe asking us, which kind of products can we make with VETZ, no? So let's say that our €2 drinks are the VETZ and spritz and VETZ and tonic. Those are like our, hero drinks, the one that works the most. But like usually we always suggest to do a take on an Americano as an example, a Negroni, and then also the Ultra VETZ. So yeah, but like if we are talking about, let's say, smaller venues, maybe they are not too good with mixology. They want something that is easy to do. So really the Ultra VETZ, like, they won't make a Paloma, right? So those are gonna be the four. So the tonic, the spritz, the Americano, and the Negroni, because, you just pour is easy, you go for it. When we're working with like, bars, cocktail bars that are, good in mixology, we're also happy to give them the creative space to test and create new recipes. Then, of course, our hero drinks will always be the tonic, VETZ and tonic, and the VETZ spritz. But we are really happy to do this. Like, actually, we've been doing some projects, like one called VETZ Friends, where we were working with different venues around Italy, where we were creating a ad hoc VETZ drink with the venue that then was like, in the drinking list. So, it was a way for us to promote the product and to give the creativity to the bartenders to create a new cocktail together. So due to the flexibility of the product, it's pretty good that, bartenders can explore their creativity and create different cocktails. There's also something fun for us to see, because, like, again, it's always nice to see what the creativity from the bartenders, what they can create, right? We got our product also mixed in several ways, like to win awards. So, that is also pretty nice to see it, right? So where the limits of creativity can go, and see the best has been used also, so a product in award-winning cocktails. So we're really happy and proud of that.
You mentioned the VETZ and Friends program. Can you? I'm super interested, because it seems like a different way in which actually brands can get in touch with restaurants and create new relationships. And it's something new, and I never heard something similar before. So can you walk us a bit through how it was born and how it worked for you?
Yeah. It was like project starting as more of a social media campaign that we did it for a period, and like, we're building on top of that. But basically we start from the word, VETZ. Well, VETZ means friends. So, and there's nothing better, at least to me, to work and feeling that I'm talking to friends all the time. And it's also like a big core of our company. It's like, friendship is the core of our company. And we wanted to find new ways to collaborate with venues before, because also, like, you need to earn the trust from the different bars that you're working with, but also, the bartenders are the main ambassador of your product. Like, you want to go to a venue and you want to have like a bartender that loves your product and can, be an advocate for it, and be like, hey, have you ever tried VETZ? You want to try a different spritz, or want you to try a different cocktail, or whatsoever. So we wanted to tighten up the relationship with the bartenders, to have them as an ambassador more and more and more. And also because we want to always give something back to the people that are working with us, because also we feel privileged, like, to see our product everywhere, and we are happy enough to create this kind of partnership. So the idea was simply like, to have a set of questions, like, not talking just about the venue itself, but also about the person, because like many times, like, an aperitivo occasion is also when you open up, you are finish up your day at work, and maybe, you're pissed, and like, you had a bad day, you meet your friends and you want to, just get it out and talk about, whatsoever. So we wanted to have the same kind of approach with the venues and with the bartenders. So we're asking, like, what you like to do in the weekends, what's your favorite thing to do, and how you relax, and blah, blah, blah. So it was a set of questions, some pictures, and then a cocktail created with bets that was like unique for that venue. So it has been pretty nice because like we've been working with many venues around the whole country, and yeah, it was a nice social media activity, but also a nice chance to explore the different taste buds of VETZ and create new cocktails and give a little bit of shared visibility to both the social media profiles.
Yeah, exactly. So for them, it was basically, so for the venues, it was basically a way of getting some free advertising on social media in the end.
Yeah.
So it was a win-win. Love it.
Yeah, exactly. And then many times related to this, we were creating maybe an event together. So we were,
Okay.
creating the cocktail, shooting the pictures, have a chat, and then, we were doing a VETS event after that. So we always tried a lot, like brand activation and doing events is one of our core pillars. I'm lucky enough that one of our partners in the company, Beppe Mancini, is an amazing brand ambassador and an amazing personality in the spirit industry. Thanks to him and his presence, we've been doing really a lot of like great events throughout the whole country due to his contact, but also on his way to really represent VETZ as a persona. And we do a lot of activations also because it's like fundamental for a small brand to be visible, no? Unfortunately, the budgets in marketing of a small brand are not the same of bigger competitors, unfortunately. So when you play this David and Goliath kind of game, you need to be there, you need to be visible, and you need to do a lot of brand activations. So working with bars and hotels and restaurants and be there, create tight partnerships and activate the product is fundamental to scale and take more shares of the market.
And in the end, I mean, I always think you don't have like maybe wine brands or larger brands. You don't have a physical venue where you can actually do events and hospitality things. So that's the only way you have to actually make the brand known
Yeah.
and spread it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had a limited budget, what would your dream activation be?
That's an amazing question. I don't know. I need to think about it. But like, I would love like to be in like as a main brand in a huge festival. Like I'm a former musician, so
Okay.
I love festivals. So that would be really cool. But I don't know. If I have unlimited money and I'm thinking about Milan, I would love to wrap the whole Duomo with like some kind of textile with the best logos around. I don't know. Like that would be pretty fun. Like reminding like the artist Cristo would do something like that. Maybe just wrap the whole Milano Duomo with like a best kind of textile.
I think the colors kind of fit. No, it's black, white, a bit of gold.
Yeah, with like, yeah, exactly. We just wrap it all and
Makes sense.
exactly. Maybe one day we get acquired by a bigger brand, so then we can think about that. Or if we scale so much,
Yeah.
maybe we do it. Let's see this in a few years.
So you mentioned like you did this activation on social media. What was actually when you first also entered Italy or when you open new markets? What's the role and impact of social media in these launches? I spoke with, maybe you know them, Yessi. They are based in France.
Yes, of
And
course.
when they launched the brand, is Nicolas, the founder, actually, is the same name as you. He told me
Sure
we launched initially through social media. So we did a huge campaign, B2C campaign, and that contributed in building our brand awareness. So was it the same for
Yeah.
you? So did you use social media to launch the brand and to build the initial awareness?
So first of all, big congrats to Yessi because it's a brand that I think they're doing amazing and they're doing a really
Yeah.
good job. So, and I think like the approach we had is the opposite.
Okay.
Like in the sense, for what I've been seeing, the ES has been sending a lot online. They are pushing a lot into the e-commerce, and for us, like we thought from our analysis and our strategy that we wanted to be into brand activations and to use the bartenders as an ambassadors of our product rather than invest massively on social media and then scale from an e-commerce or whatsoever. Of course, social media is fundamental. You cannot be not present on social media. It's something that you have to do, and it's something that, of course, we always try, like to treat well and, you know, to put attention on. But for us, the main strategy to be viable, so far for now, maybe we'll change it in a week, I don't know. But it has been like create tight relationship with the brand ambassador, with the bartenders, having them as brand ambassadors of the product, work a lot with the distributors, make them loving the product, and then having the product in as many places as possible to be visible. And then when the bartenders are, you know, offering the opportunity to clients to purchase the product, the spritz or whatever cocktail, then it's our conclusion of the loop. Because like for what we saw, particularly in Italy, it's not a market where you purchase so much the bottles online, rather than other markets like the US as an example, where it's like massive, like the online purchases. Here, it's most likely, okay, finish the product to do the spritz. Okay, just go to the supermarket, or I just go to the convenience store that is open almost 24/7, right? So we tested the social media, we tested the B2C online, and yeah, it wasn't even the same numbers as like sending directly to the HoReCa business. So we took this different angle, but of course, social media are fundamental, and you know, also our strengths are more into creating connection with bars and restaurants and to distributors rather than social media. So you need also to use what are the best keys that you have in house, particularly when you start a project and you are not getting, you know, external consultants, so you don't have the economical capacity to do it. So, you know, you try and you make mistakes, and then, you know, you just to try to do whatever you can by your own.
And how are you approaching like the distribution? So do you have distributors in different countries, or are you relying on, for example, in Italy, do you have a national distributor? So can you walk us through in general your distribution strategy at the moment?
Yes, exactly. So let's say it's different, it's really different from the markets. Like when we started in Sweden you have a monopoly.
Yeah.
It's called Systembolaget, where, you know, you sell to the monopoly and then they're gonna distribute the product. So it's pretty straightforward. You don't have many stakeholders. While in Italy is a totally different kind of business, no? We started at the beginning with a national distribution, and we recently switched towards a more regional, province, or like even city distributors, because for us, like, connections are really important, and we want to build like great connections with all the different distributors. Of course, it's more work, but as the name bets, like we believe in relationships. We believe in being close to each other and helping each other. So far the strategy is paying well. Like, we are happy of the connections that we are building. Of course, we're looking to expand the distribution throughout the whole country. So if any person listening to this is interested to distribute in VETZ, please reach out. But we are trying to go to a more capillary way, into a more connection-related distribution system in Italy. Then for all the other countries, you know, of course, like, you create relationship with the different country distribution. So in all the other markets where we're working, we have a national distributor that is promoting the product in the different countries. So yeah, that's nowadays the strategy that we have.
And this takes me to, I think you announced it this week. So you launched a B2B portal on your website. And that's also something I don't see many brands doing. So can you tell us a bit what it is, what led you to the launch, and actually what do you think it will bring in the future?
Yeah, exactly. And this, I guess, like, you know, it goes again on the closing the loop on the question with the SEA and with the social media and the strategy, you know? So for us, the focus is more the HoReCa business at the moment, rather than selling directly to consumers. So as now we had more freedom of moving the product with like this different setup for the distribution, we want to be closer with our customers for as much as we can. So the idea came pretty naturally, like, you know, having a way for, you know, bars and restaurants to just get directly in touch with us and have the product directly shipped from us, for creating first a closer connection to them. And also because we have a selection of product with our partners that we can distribute together with VETZ, as an example, from Prosecco to the tonic. That creates also like a perfect balance in then the final product that you can use for making a VETZ spritz or a VETZ and tonic, as an example. So relationships, again, are fundamental in every business, but particularly in this business, because you need to be daily chosen by the people that are consuming or from the different bartenders to promote your product. So we wanted to create a tight relationship to the venues. So yeah, happy. We already have clients that are using the B2B platform. So yeah, it's available on the website and people can get directly in touch with us for orders.
Basically, you can think of it as an e-commerce for HoReCa clients.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's just changing the target,
Yeah.
going directly to the HoReCa business.
Okay. Yeah, that's super, super cool. So that indeed can be like I can think of it as the future of distribution. I mean, you don't need distributors. You're building the brand equity yourself and you're using that to build like B2B relationships.
Yeah, exactly. Like, of course, we need distribution because like we need the
Yeah.
distribution channels, and we are really happy with the distributors we are working with. They are doing great. We are building amazing relationships. But you need also to be, somehow you need to look at the future. You need to look how the market is moving. You need to see that maybe some companies like they want to get in touch with you directly, and there are already some brands that are doing direct distribution to the HoReCa world. So why not? Is another opportunity, and it might be the future, it might be not, but like we try to test it and it's working well. So I guess the combination of the two, the B2B platform plus the relationship with distributors, then again you need to build them tight, because of course if not you are one of the hundreds of products in different portfolios, so you somehow you will waste your time. Then maybe it's the future of like how you distribute your product and how you can be distributed massively to a bigger audience.
Do you see any differences between Italy and other countries? You mentioned the US, of course, Sweden. So do you see any differences in how the product is perceived by customers and by B2B clients?
I would say no, like in the sense, like one thing that at least we try to do well is like how to perceive the product and how to position it. So it's pretty visible when you think about the product and when you know about the product, how it's placed and what's the goal of the product. And, there are some areas, maybe, I would say, maybe in Sweden, the idea of like a product that is done, with natural ingredients is more perceived than the Italian market, because also a general research, even when you go to buy some food at the supermarket, that people are really cautious about which are the ingredients, how they are produced and everything than Italy. But in Italy, the knowledge is growing a lot in the past years. So maybe at the beginning we saw more of a delta in between the markets, but now is pretty flat. So the perception is the same, I would say.
And I think until now, we spoke about VETZ, the original VETZ, the Aperitivo, but actually you were mentioning before this call, it's not the only product you're selling, because you have ready to drinks, you have a non-alcoholic product you recently launched. So how does the strategies in distribution and marketing change between these different product categories?
Like they change quite a lot, in the sense that they are different products, of course. When we started approaching the ready-to-drink market, we've been lucky enough to work with amazing other companies. Again, the concept of friendship comes back again, also to create, innovation within the business. So at the beginning, we started this partnership with Classic Cocktails. We are one of the different brands we are working together. So for their spritz, they decided to work with us. So Classic Cocktails, they are making these canned in a really nice aluminum bottle cocktails ready to drink. They've been doing great, like the partnership that they created, not just with like venues where they're selling the product, but also the brand collaboration has been great. So that's been a great test, and the product is really, really good. Then we'll be launching, it's going to be launched soon, a project with like Albanina, where we are together with Bitter Fusetti and Ginarte for a ready-to-drink VETZ and tonic. So we are covering both the spritz and both the VETZ and tonic. And then we launched the format in kegs, so 20 liters VETZ and spritz and VETZ and tonic in kegs. That is really good, like for being a product that you plug it and you just tap it, is great. We are so happy about the result. It is phenomenal. And then in that you attach a different kind of market, that it can be the one of like stadiums, festivals. Actually, there are also some bars that for practicalities. They just prefer to have everything on tap. So that one is a great product as well. And then, as you mentioned, we've been thinking a lot about the alcohol-free market, as we said at the beginning of the call. And we launched like a VETZ spritz alcohol-free. That's pretty great product. We launched it for the Polish market at the beginning. We saw an opportunity with our distributor. We decided to do a test product in there. And, as all the test product we tested, there are going to be a lot of improvements in terms of different kind of stuff. But the product is great. We've been really astonished by how actually a non-alcoholic product can taste from knowing the start of how is like the original VETZ. So we started in Poland, and now we're ready to distribute it all around. So really happy for that. And, I think what is a good characteristic that we have within the company, but I see it luckily in many new brands, is like, as we're a small company, really entrepreneurial, we see an opportunity, we test. If it goes well, it goes. If it doesn't, we don't need to build a facility with dozens of employees like would be for like a big brand, right? So we have the agility in our side. So we are testing. So far there's traction, and there's space to create even more like alternatives, new products, shutting down one to start a new one. We are always ready to test. So let's see also how these products are going, but so far so good, I would say.
Are you afraid the market might become a bit overcrowded in the future, since there's a lot of new brands coming up, a lot of new brands experimenting? As you said, you don't necessarily need a huge facility, so even the barriers to entry are getting a bit lower. So are you actually afraid about how the market is getting?
I would say that's a really good question. Like when we first see many people moving in this direction, it means that the intuition we had years ago, it was a good one. Because when we first moved, of course there were other players, but not too many to be aware of. So we knew that we had the first mover advantage, but sometimes when you have the first mover advantage, you might not have the right timing in the market. So maybe you have a good product, but the market is not ready, So seeing that so many products are starting now, make us understanding that now the market is more ready than ever. So it's just a matter of working hard and being able to put the product everywhere. But what we are happy on our side is we know that the product is great. When people try the product, I don't know, I can say 95% out of 100 they are happy and they really like the taste. So that for us is the most important thing. We never settled for something that wasn't related to a quality product. So having a quality product already is a good thing, particularly because today, when people are spending money, they are more conscious than ever, because also they're drinking less than ever in terms of numbers, as we see Norwegian, Gen Z, and everything, how the numbers are going. But also, cocktails are getting more expensive than ever. Is prices. So people, when they drink something that is an alternative, they want something that is good, that tastes good, and is well done. So on that, we are happy, and I think we've been always in the right track for that. And the market is big, so the more players actually is more marketing for everyone. So if we are able to build this new category of people leaving the big traditional spirits and moving towards alternatives, there's space for many. So, really, really happy about the so-called competition, because it's a fight that we need to be many people together to try to take shares of the market. And maybe one day will be too many, we'll be afraid. But so far, I'm just happy if there are more people, honestly.
I think there's still time until it becomes like wine. I mean, I wouldn't launch a wine brand today. So.
No, it depends how many millions you have to launch it, as everything. But starting from your garage and try to make a wine business, it's gonna be hard.
Good. So I would move towards the final section of the interview. So it's called Quickfire, where actually I ask you 6 questions. These are very quick questions, and I would like you to give the first answer that comes to mind. So it's supposed to be a very quick exchange between the two of us. So the first one would be, it's 2036, so 10 years from now. What's happened to VETZ aside from the wrap around the Duomo, and what's happened to the overall beverage market?
We've wrapped the Tour Eiffel or maybe the Statue of Liberty in New York. No, but like I think in 2036, I think that at least for my perception, that maybe my co-founders will kill me whatsoever. It would be nice to see VETZ being acquired by a bigger portfolio brand, because we know is like actually the only way to see the product really become like massive at a scale. So the market is growing, and I can see VETZ in many different formats, and you know, from the alcohol-free version in different ways, and the product in different ways with the ready to drink done in collaboration with different brands and different kind of flavors. But I would see VETZ being part of a bigger portfolio of brands, and of course acquired by big numbers. But yeah, honestly, it's the only way to see nowadays your baby scaling at a massive scale. Like it's really hard, particularly starting from Italy, like to make a product like really big.
What's one market you still haven't cracked, but you would like to actually enter in the future?
You know, I would say the US, because of course we started, we did some, you know, the distribution is there, but you know, we are rolling it slowly, but you know, it's the biggest market. And if I had to tell you a market by numbers, that would be the main market in my vision.
If you could give like 3 suggestions to a young person that's launching their version of VETZ, or the beverage brand.
So the first one is, but it's not just in the beverage brand, it's like in any business. Start a project with people that you can work with and that you trust, because it's a roller coaster. And it has been a roller coaster for us all the time since we started, because, you know, life kicks in for everyone. You have a period that, you know, you're not at your best, you have difficulties, maybe you are not working as much, and some periods that you work like, you know, 100 hours a week. So start a project with people that you know you can work with, and that you care, because it's at the end of the day is a journey. You shouldn't just think about the final goal, but you should think about all the difficulties that are in between. So have a tight team, and that would be like the first one. The second one would be try to find like a little niche, a little spot that maybe is not like, you know, the one that is like, you know, shining everywhere. Because when we started VETZ, we could have done the, like, you know, another gin, like everyone was doing 5 years ago. But that would have not been sustainable. Maybe start having some traction at the beginning, but then maybe it was like ending immediately. So try to see something that you can be for the long run, and that's something that I would advise. And the third one, I don't know, I feel like it's a really hard business because it's crowded. If I think about the aperitivo market, is a monopoly basically. So you really need to believe in what you're doing, because it's the only way that you can, you know, push the obstacles and go for it. Because it's the chances to succeed today in the spirit industry are lower than ever. Because if we're talking about spirits, the market is not growing, is decreasing. In the next years, it will decrease even more. In some countries, they are putting regulations more and more against alcohol consumption. So it's not an easy market. And if you have to win, you need to win fast. And if you're doing it without the passion and the willingness that what you're doing is good, that you believe in what you're doing, you die within a year and you just lose a lot of money. Just start a tech startup and try to get, a new AI agent to do something else. But if it's but it's true, and really go for it. And again, I would say also be creative. If I can give like a fourth, that is like the 3.B, let's call it like this. Many brands nowadays, they had their success from not the product as a liquid, but from the packaging, as an example, or from the message. Like let's take as an example, engine. Like, maybe you don't need to have a product that is really different from the others, but maybe it's the way you are selling the product that is different, or the experience that you give to people when you're selling the product. So sometimes in certain market you win because you use creativity to just serve your thing in a different kind of way. So maybe that can be the 3.B suggestion related to the belief a lot in the product that you're doing.
And also another list, but of 3 things that a traditional producer, wine or spirits or whatever, can learn from VETZ.
Okay, that's a really, again, a really interesting question. So I would say what they can learn, the traditional one is like find a way to be fast is the first one, because we in several companies you have like maybe some R&D departments, or you have like a venture like firm within the company, but try to be agile and fast, because like the market is moving faster than ever. Yeah, as an example, I saw that now Aperol launched the canned version of Aperol. I don't know why they took ages for them to launch this. Like actually they could have done like, 5 years ago, where the can trend started. So, be faster. Maybe you get more shares of the market quicker. The second one is, I don't know how it is because I never worked in a corporate business with a big wine or spirit business, but it's like, you are in a fun industry, make sure the people in the company are enjoying what they're doing and they are really believing in the process that they are doing, because that is like the first way to make people like waking up in the morning and enjoy what they're doing, because we are talking about a business that gets a lot in touch with people. This is really important, that aspect as well. And on the third one, I think like on our case, of course, it's different based on the different kind of spirit, or maybe the winery is more difficult, but like it's nice to see how technology is impacting also the way you work. Like for us, like we work remotely all the time, and we work like in a really different way. And I know for some people working in some more traditional companies, in the wine, in the spirit business, they need to be together all the time. They need to be in the office or whatsoever. But like giving people the space to be agile and to work remotely, and to also not by default being together is helpful. Also because for us, like by being located in different angles of the world, is a nice chance to see which trends and which things are happening in different angles of the world. So you double down on the exposure of the market, and is an in-person market where you are like seeing things with your eyes. So then by being agile, you can be faster to implement innovation or like brand activations or whatsoever.
And the last one, you cannot answer VETZ though. Which is your favorite drink?
Okay, that's I cannot answer VETZ at
You
all.
can't.
Okay, so I don't know. My favorite drink. It depends on moments, because it goes in waves. I would say today, I don't know. It would be a nice Americano.
Great. Nicolas, it was a fantastic conversation and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for listening.